Hey, welcome back to Friends in Austin. Today I have Samantha Anne on the podcast, and she's a local artist here in Austin. Did you recently move here?
I've actually lived here for the past 20 years.
Past 20 years? Okay.
Mhm.
I thought you were out of town for a bit or something like that. Is that true? No?
I was out of town. I went to Colorado recently.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you lived here the past 20 years?
I have, yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Maine.
From Maine?
Mhm.
What brought you here?
I ended up moving here with my family. So we've lived here, for quite a while. And I thought I would I graduated a year early to actually move back to Maine. But then I came back for a visit and I couldn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up staying.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of art do you do?
I'm an abstract artist. So I dabble in all kinds of mediums. My favorite medium is acrylics, and currently I'm working with resin and alcohol inks, which is kind of a new medium.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. What is resin in the context of art?
Resin is basically it's something that you'd want to put on top of like a finished product of a painting that you've made.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a chemical, so you have to mix two equal properties, kind of like a chemist.
Mm-hmm.
You mix it all together and then you just pour it over, the canvas. But then there's also other things you can do with the resin. You can manipulate the chemical with alcohol inks and change the composition of what you're making. This painting that I brought, I didn't add any kind of alcohol inks with it. But
Do you want to show it real quick?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, pull it up. I'm going to make sure that it's visible. Yes, it is visible.
So I just made this painting, and this is actually Little Miss Bossy.
What is Little Miss Bossy? This looks familiar. Is this from a cartoon that I used to watch?
It is a familiar cartoon. This is a children's book. The author is actually from England. I wish we could pull up the information.
I mean, do you know the author's name?
No.
Okay.
Not offhand. I feel like I should know.
Okay.
But yeah, when I was a little kid, I used to love those books. I just loved the expressions that they made. It was always an over-exaggerated expression and just kind of like a simple thing. So whenever I got a little bit older and I started playing video games, I was really gravitated towards Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that game, Kirby?
Yes, I do remember Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Little Miss Bossy, she is stealing money. So she's like a little bandit.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah. And then I've been, selling art at Whiskey Tango Foxtrot on West 6th Street, which is a new thing that Austin Talley, he's the general manager and he handles everything.
And so Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, is that a bar?
It is a bar. It's an ice house bar, yeah.
So they're repurposing it during COVID to do art, or they're just doing both?
They are doing so many things for so many people. And really it's Austin Talley. He has such a good heart. I didn't know what to do during COVID. I was freaking out. All I could do was go back to my art. I was doing other things, but then I lost my job. And the only thing that I had to rely on was art.
Mm-hmm.
So I made people face masks, sold so many of those face masks. It was fun. So with the whole face mask thing, I got really excited with it. And I started, I would go on Etsy and I would look at all kinds of different patterns. And I just found a lot of fun stuff, from different countries even.
I think one really good thing about COVID is that there's tons of people that are being more entrepreneurial because of COVID. One of my neighbors is selling sweets, baking a ton of sweets. One guy was decided to start power washing a bunch of cars. I don't know if it was because of COVID, but there's a lot of people that, I think that it makes people realize that, they can do something on their own to provide their own money.
Totally.
And usually it's something that they care about more than their job.
Exactly. And a lot of times, you're working a really hard career or something, and then you're but I really love this hobby or this thing that makes me happy, and you pick the one thing that has stability over the other thing that makes you happier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So COVID kind of got you back into your art? You started with face masks. You started making some masks, and you're able to sell some of them, or you're just giving them away, or what?
It's actually like a wild COVID story because I started making face masks. Then I had a really special opportunity, and I learned coding for Python and Java. So I thought that was the direction that I was going to go into, but I didn't end up doing that. And I studied coding for a whole like 5-6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My sister's studying
every day.
Yeah. So I want to get more into that. My sister's studying coding. I do coding. I used to work full time as a software developer before I started this podcast. I quit my job to mainly work on the podcast. I have some income on some web app that I built that I'm with someone else that primarily owns the company. I have some of it. This was 3 or 4 years ago. It's doing better since COVID, so I was able to quit my job. It's still like, it would be nice to still have that income, but like I can get by, in the meantime. So yeah, I've coded for a long time. Got my first job off of Twitter, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's really weird, but so you thought you were going to do coding. You studied coding for 6 months.
I did, yes.
Just turned out not to like it, or what? You got back and decided to go with art instead, or what?
What basically happened was that towards the end of being finished, like learning all the lessons and everything, I just couldn't like tap into my creative side, and it made me depressed. Like I actually got like really sad. I was like, you can't use like both parts of your brain when you're like coding. You just can't. Like all you're thinking about are numbers. You know, like I go to sleep thinking about numbers.
You go to sleep thinking about numbers.
How to solve an equation.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then we were doing Zoom meetings, and our teacher, he works for Google. He's from China. He has like the whole life story of being from absolutely nothing. His parents kicking him out at a very young age, having to move around the world, and then ending up in America, and then working for Google. So also, like, he was a very hard teacher.
Yeah.
He would just be like, why don't you get this? You need to study 20 more hours. And I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah. I don't know. In my personal experience, I see that, like, some coding courses maybe would focus somewhat on numbers and stuff like that. But in practice, you do very, very little math. I think a lot of people think you do like a lot of weird math in software development. Like, I
think that's what he wanted us to do.
Yeah, and that's so not the primary, I don't know, use case for coding. Like, yeah, sure, if you're working on some project that is like, like, remember that show Silicon Valley where they're having a compression algorithm and they're like, I'm sure there's some math involved in that, and there's math involved in certain projects, but I would say the majority of projects are like a web app for a startup that wants to make something that's like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. There's not very much math going on there.
And I wanted to get to that. I was like, I have ideas on how to fix like some Instagram stuff.
Yeah. So,
I was dabbling in UX design before I ever decided that I wanted to do coding. And I was doing all that stuff on my own.
Well, as an artist, it seems like UX design would be more up your alley than programming itself.
And I tried to say that, but this person, he just wanted to like take over and be like, no, you want to be a back end developer.
Or maybe you don't.
And I was just thinking, actually, I don't. And I quit. And then, then I got like a special opportunity. And then that's how I went back to my art. Yeah. I mean, some of my art is actually like, I make geometrical art as well. I don't know if I have anything like that on my Instagram, but yeah, I do make like all kinds of things.
And I'm sure people are going to see it, but let's just go ahead and say what your Instagram profile is right now. I'll tag it up on the screen, and then we'll tag it later. Yeah, the handle.
It's Wicked Goddess Shop with all of the S's.
Yeah. When you first texted to me, I just read it real quick, and I was like, I'm going to type it in. I'm going to assume it's 2 S's, even though there's 3.
Right.
There's 3, yeah. But it made sense. I was like, well, she actually spelled everything out like as it would be. Yeah.
It's unfortunate how they smush all the letters in together and they don't separate it.
Yeah, it's true. So you went and you were learning code, decided it was too back end focused. I still think that you should like Yeah, later in the future, sometime, if you're still interested in it, you should like go back into like doing something that is more front end or UX and
UX, definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to make a web application actually for art.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that'd be easier, like connecting other artists with other artists that have similar like styles, or just like, like in Austin, it's awesome. You can meet so many people and network, but not everybody has the same hours. So you're not, and most people have actual jobs. So it's hard to meet people and like connect in that way. Unless you don't work and you just like go out at a certain time and like network and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's
a lot of artists, they don't go to sleep.
Yeah, I've heard that creative people, I don't know if it's true, but creatives tend to be like night owls.
Yeah, it is true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that it is true as well. So there's endless opportunities for, like you're talking about, like a network for artists to find each other or learn from each other or whatever. So there's all kinds of fun things to build. That's why programming and UX is so interesting.
Should make an app.
Yeah. So my thing is, I got really tired of writing code. I mean, it was really fun for a long time, and the ability to like just type some stuff and then on a page you have something that you can like do. It does something really fun, really cool, awesome. It's like an amazing little experience to do that and know that you can do that. I just feel like, I don't know, it's funny how something to you at one time in life can be like so fun, and then like 7 years later, it's like you just never know how you're gonna feel or what you're gonna want to do or whatever. And I still kind of enjoy it, and I'd like to do like, I just want to get back to doing it just as like, these are my little projects instead of this company needs this thing for this reason.
I couldn't imagine working for a company and having that kind of like high pressure, stress and whatnot.
Yeah, it takes the fun out of it, really.
And I felt like, actually my instructor, I felt like that's how he made me feel. Like he demanded a certain, and then my roommate, she was learning coding at the same time as me. I got her into it. But I realized she was better at it than me, and I was like, that didn't bother me. It wasn't like I'm a very competitive person, but I didn't feel competitive in that way because I didn't care as much about being a coder than she did. Yeah,
that makes sense. I'm exactly like that when it comes to competition, and I find it odd when people are like competitive in things they don't do. Like if you challenge me to a game of, I don't know, Chinese checkers or just any game that I don't play, and you beat me, I wouldn't care because I don't practice that.
Yeah, you're like, whatever.
If I practice,
kudos to you.
Yeah, but if I practice something on the regular, I want to be good at it, so I want to compete. Yeah. And if I lose, I'm not going to get sour about it, but like I will care because I tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I will try to learn from that experience and then get better. But like some people are just competitive about anything and everything. It's like, you don't even practice that. Why do you care?
So yeah, I've kind of felt personally attacked sometimes during our classes because they were like, why don't you get this?
Yeah. Well,
we have it, like, we can't move on without you. And I'm like, everybody learns at a different pace.
Yeah, for sure.
And also my heart's not that into it. Obviously it wasn't.
That's going to be the main problem.
Obviously it wasn't.
That's going to be the main problem. And see, that's the thing with anybody that learning to code. And people ask me and I'm just like, well, like if it's hard or they should do it. And I'm like, well, if you like it, if you really like it, you'll get good at it.
Yeah. You'll do it every single day. You'll spend more than 10 hours on it.
If you don't like it, then
like, I'm an artist. I stayed up till 7 a.m. making this thing. And I had just moved into my new place on South Congress. I moved in. I hadn't even been there like an entire day. And I was like, I have an art show this Friday. I need to make art. So yeah, I stayed up till 7 a.m. because that's my passion. And I'm excited, like that's my thing.
Well, then you've got your passion. You should follow your passion.
But that's what I'm doing now. So it's all working out and it's been great.
Yeah. I have the book, The War of Art. I haven't read it. It's not about art necessarily. It's about creative people.
I feel like I've read that.
It's about creative people pushing against the resistance for them to like do what they actually want to do. Kind of like you wake up every day.
Yeah.
Everybody's got those little crazy ideas, or they think like I could be a director, or I could do this, or I could do that. But then then they shrug it off and they don't think about it anymore and they just go back to their job. And that's what the book calls like resistance. And then it talks about kind of like stepping into your territory. So it's like your territory is art. And how do you know if it's your territory? Because every time you go into it, you feel rewarded.
Right, exactly.
And another criteria for it being your territory is there's infinite possibility to improve. And there's a third criteria that I don't remember, but anyway, an interesting book. I haven't read the whole, I just kind of was like skimming through it last night.
Is it a new book?
No, it's old, but it's like a classic. I mean, a lot of people have known it.
I feel like I've read it, but I'm not sure. Like, what is the book color?
I think it's white on the front.
Okay.
And it has the War of Art in black letters, and there's an image on the front that I can't recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't read it, but that sounds like something I would read.
So let's get more into your art stuff. We were going to pull up your Instagram at some point, but maybe before we do that, like we kind of just stopped on like, you decided you needed, money because of COVID. You started doing some art.
Oh yeah.
And so how did things progress from there? Do you have a shop up yet? Or are you still like in the process of selling anything or what?
I'm an art gallery manager at Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and I get to sell all of my art there. And then I also have a client that I represent. His name's Gino Escobedo, and he's also a great artist. And so I've been working with him recently for the past 2 months. And he makes some really cool art, like Monopoly kind of stuff, like political, just like fun.
Monopoly is in literally the game of Monopoly, or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's
no,
cool.
it's really cool. We should pull up his page as well.
Okay.
We're doing a show tonight together. And so what I get to do is like, I get to show my art, like sell my art, and then I get to represent like an artist, which is awesome because Austin Talley, he's basically like, he did a good favor for me to like be able to do this. And now I get to like pass on the generosity, which is nice. But yeah, so anyways, Gino, like he actually owns like a cheerleading camp kind of thing, and he trains gymnastics, but on like his hobby is art. And so like he just made like, regular paintings with acrylics, and since I do resin, I get to like top his paintings with resin. So we're collaborating now. Cool. And then my own art, my art has really evolved. I have always been an artist. I started making art when I was like a little kid. I made like a whole collage. Like we used to live in Germany, and I made like a whole collage on my wood floor with nail polish, like all kinds of colors. I would just like hide it under a rug. And my mom was like, "You were really quiet one day," and I came upstairs and I caught you just ruining our wood floor with your nail polish and this like giant collage you made, and the rug was pretty big, so she put me in art classes, and the first painting I ever made was of Vincent van Gogh, like a purple vase with flowers, and that's kind of like where it just never stopped. And then my parents, they separated, and my dad, he was trying to make it as an artist in Germany, and he actually did make it as an artist in Germany. He's published there and been published in newspapers and stuff like that, and has done gallery shows. So when I reconnected with my dad at 26, it was a great experience because I couldn't really relate to my mom at all, like being an artist and just being so confused, like what to do with my life. So I just knew that this is what I love, but I knew that doesn't make a lot of money. Or
it can.
It can, but I had no idea. I was like, well, how do I get there?
And I wouldn't know either, but it's one of those things where it's just kind of like you have to kind of have some faith in yourself and learn other things. You basically have to learn business. If you want to be an artist, you have to learn how other people are building an audience. How are they networking with people? How can you get your stuff in front of people?
Exactly. So to make a long story short, when COVID happened, it's been really boring. So, and I don't have a car. So what I ended up doing was I have a lot of friends that I network with already, you know, on Facebook and Instagram. And I would just go Uber to their places and we would talk about business. Or we would talk about their technique. And then I just started doing that. And the more that I did that, the more aware I was, and
of like how many contacts you can make, and kind of like how there's an opportunity. There's opportunities out there that
there are. Yeah, you just have to go out and get it. Can't just be at home and just be a dreamer and be like, oh man, if only I could do this. Oh, you know, I have this good idea. And then you just never do it.
I've done that tons of times.
Me too. I was moving out the other day. I found a patent that I made, like, as a 26-year-old. This is 10 years ago, and I saw it on Facebook 4 years ago. My idea, but I just never submitted the patent. Like, exactly. Why? I don't know, because I guess I just didn't have the confidence yet. So,
I think that's a really good thing that you're pointing out there, because I think that's a lot of people. And as I've looked back on the times where I thought about doing something and I didn't, it was all confidence. It was all just like, why would I be able to, like, right? Yeah, I can be able to do this. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. And it's like the difference between someone who does and doesn't is just someone does and someone doesn't. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. If you want something, go get it. You know, don't just talk about it. Talkers don't go get anywhere in life. And
that's when it comes back around to, like, it has to be something that you care about too. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, I did care about it. There were too many.
It's got to be both, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but yeah, there were too many, like, well, what if this costs this? Well, what would be, you know, just too many what ifs, then you're just automatically not going to do it.
For sure. Can I ask you why you didn't see your dad for 20 years?
Because my mom, this is like such a bad story.
You don't have to tell it, but you can.
I didn't see my dad for 24 years because my parents separated and he decided to stay in Germany. And my mom wanted to move on with her life. And so, I don't know, she didn't have very many nice things to say about him. So it made me hard to want to, like, kind of stay in contact with my dad. But my dad, which was really sweet, he sent me art every year. It always, like, made me sad because I didn't understand him. I was like, oh, he does art, cool. I mean, that's not what I wanted. I wanted, you know, my dad, but
yeah. I mean, and I'm sure you didn't really. I mean, he was in Germany and you were in the States.
Yeah, so I didn't really understand.
He kind of, like, picked his art over his family, it sounds like.
No.
No?
It's basically my mom. She picked others over my dad.
Oh, okay. I shouldn't have jumped to conclusions. So.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I don't know. I mean, it's that's just what people did. You know?
What kind of art?
That's what people do.
What kind of art does he do in Germany?
He's an abstract artist. Okay. He actually lives in Indiana now.
Indianapolis. I was just telling you, I'm getting ready to hit the road, heading to Indiana to visit my family for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. He lives in Indianapolis.
He does. Yeah. He's currently building a house. He has never built a house before, but he's an architect now.
Cool.
He's just a multifaceted human. It's amazing.
So you ever consult with him and talk about art?
All the time.
All the time now? Yeah.
All the time. I mean, I made my most controversial piece last month, and I was terrified that he was going to judge me for it.
What was it?
It was an old Prohibition art about cocaine.
Oh, was it the straw that was going into like a can of some kind, though?
Yeah,
was it Coke
enjoy Coke. Yeah. Because back in the day,
Coca-Cola literally had cocaine in it, right?
Everything had cocaine in it. Everything did. There's also
the water, the air.
Yeah, no, the water. Yeah, no. So one piece I want to make, it's a little kid, and it's medicine, you know. But they put that in kids' medicine
back then,
and candy, and just all kinds of stuff. But
it's crazy. I never dove into it that far, but I mean, I guess, like, before people knew. I mean, they just knew that people like it, so they just manufactured it and everything. It makes you come back.
Basically, how that idea even came to me was I was on Facebook and I follow this page, which is called Things You Find in Your Attic or Basement.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody found old Prohibition art.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was funny.
So, yeah, so your Coke art thing was, it's not because you do Coke all the time. It's just because like you found some old Prohibition art.
I mean, it has partially to do with the fact that Coke can be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it and I was like, oh, haha. Also like Austin Talley, who runs Whiskey Tango. Before I did my last art show, I brought the cocaine art and I thought he was going to be mortified. And he was like, I would never judge you. He's like, who cares? He's like, that's why I like your art.
Mm-hmm.
It's edgy, it's out there, it's different. It's not like everybody else's.
I think artists has a lot of room to be, it's like in the business world, people have to be careful about what they say because, it's like, well, what if someone Googles this and my podcast episode comes up and I'm talking about drugs? But
that's just like a normal, people do that stuff.
People have
been doing it since the beginning of time.
Exactly. I mean, it'd be one thing to be like, oh yeah, I do Coke every day. I'm totally addicted to Coke. If I watched that person and I was hiring, I'd be like, well, I don't want to hire that person because they just admitted they're on Coke all the time and they're addicted to it.
No.
But if someone says, hey, I did Coke sometimes in the past, here's a funny story about me doing that.
Right.
Whatever.
Gotcha. Right on.
Yeah. So, did you have a funny story or not? Or should we look you out on Instagram?
I'm trying to think of one. I don't know.
Okay, we'll just hold on to that.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of your art on Instagram.
But yeah, let's do that.
Mm-hmm. So I've got it pulled up over here, and it's kind of far away, but
yeah, I'm like, should I pull it up on my phone?
Yeah. Hold on, like this right here with this Dragon Ball Z. I love Dragon Ball Z. Okay. So was that a poster that they made that you posted, or did you make that?
That's actually not my art. That's my artist.
He designed that whole flyer?
He designed the whole flyer.
Yeah.
He does the advertisement, which I appreciate.
Yeah. How do they find out when you're having a show or when they're, I'm assuming where anyone's having a show, when they're having a show in general?
When I have a show, I let people know for a whole 2 weeks on my Instagram and my Facebook.
Is there an average cost of a piece of art? I mean, how much do you sell yours for?
I sell my pieces from anywhere from, I brought tiles with me, but I have little tiles. I sell 3 for $30.
A tile as in, what, do you want to show it right now?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Oh, those are really nice. Those are sick. So, I mean, is it like people use them as coasters?
Yes, these are coasters, but they can also be used for kitchen tiles,
Nice.
Yeah. Or a bathroom floor.
Yeah, go ahead and grab a couple. You can show them on camera. These are really cool.
Okay, yeah. So this is one of my favorite ones.
Mm-hmm. How do you make these? How do you get all the different colors in
there? This is what I was trying to explain earlier. So I made this painting. I painted it with acrylic paints. And then I just poured a clear resin over it. Whereas this was a white tile. And I used alcohol inks. Okay. And so what I did was I poured alcohol on here, just rubbing alcohol. Mm-hmm. And then I poured these little alcohol inks on it. Mm-hmm. And kind of blew it around with a dryer. And then I added the pink. Then I let it dry. Mm-hmm. Then I poured resin over it. And I added these little sparkles.
Cool.
It's a whole process.
How long does it take you to do? I mean, do you do them in sets?
It takes 2 days to 3 days.
Mm-hmm. To get a batch done? Would you say for one or a batch?
For a whole batch?
Yeah, would you do them in a batch or do you do them one at a time?
Oh no, I would do them in a batch, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and since I just moved, I have a huge island, so I can have a little factory set up in my apartment now. It's pretty awesome.
I'm going to show some of these. I really like all of them, really, but that blue is pretty sick. Ooh, I'm going to break one. I didn't break it. And then there's that one. And then here's a red one, and this one's reddish white.
They're so different, yeah. And then look, this one is for Pride. This one was for Pride Week.
That's pretty. So you sell these for, did you say 3 for $30?
3 for $30, yes.
I'll buy 4 of them off of you and leave them here on the table.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah. Hey, FIA listeners. Just before this episode is over, I want to give you one more quick friendly reminder to please like and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. Thanks again. We were talking about the average cost of art and like selling your art. So you bring your coasters and you set those up as well?
Yeah, so this is the cheapest thing I sell. And then the paintings are more expensive, obviously. And like now that we're putting resin over the paintings, it makes them even more expensive because of all the materials. And basically like how we sell paintings is by length times width and then, like times time.
I feel like people would pay twice that for those coasters, if not 3 times that amount.
Really?
Yeah. $10 seems really cheap. Like, cause if like 3 for $30, so $10. Like,
okay.
If I went to an art show and I saw those and I wanted some coasters or wanted to replace my current coasters, I'd look at those and like 3 for $30. I would easily pay $60 for those. So
I am about to start working with a contractor. He wants me to make, these tiles for houses, for kitchen backsplashes.
Oh, that could be very
or like bathroom stuff. So
that would be awesome.
And so things are just like evolving right now for me with my own art. But for a while I was like, I don't know what to do. Like I might give up. Like I almost gave up, but I didn't. Thank gosh.
I'm glad you didn't. I'm really loving that. That'd be a sick ass bathroom to have that backsplash over your entire kitchen. It'd be an expensive bathroom, but it'd be very nice.
I would love to do that. So I'm still trying to figure out what I should even charge for something like that. Yeah.
I mean, put people not only as materials, it's time and effort, and it's art.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, you have people out there, and they're like, I want a deal. Like that's too expensive, or it looks like you spray painted it, or just, I put some stuff on Facebook Marketplace yesterday and I read like 5 people's comments and they were like, oh, that I would never buy. That looks spray painted. And I'm just like, if you only knew, like some people can paint and it looks like that.
Do you have thick skin? Does that stuff bother you?
Does it bother me?
Yeah. If people are talking shit when you post stuff online about your art?
No, I just like that anybody's talking about it at all.
That's a great way to look at it.
I'm just like, cool. Okay, I have a really funny story. So one of my first times that I sold a lot of stuff, it was on the Bat Bridge. And I used to sell earrings. I used to make and sell them. I'm pretty good at making that kind of stuff, but I just didn't like using my hands in like such tiny, intricate ways. Just kind of got old. But anyways, this girl stole 2 pairs of my earrings. And I noticed right away. And I was like, I can't even be mad. I'm like, that's like the biggest form of flattery. It's like somebody likes your shit so much that they steal it and fucking run away with it. And you're like, dang, this is cool. Like,
you're glad you got stolen from.
Yeah, I was like, I'm like, I made a lot of money. Yeah. So it didn't really bother me.
Yeah, you're like, whatever.
I knew how much money it cost me to make it. But I just thought it was cool that somebody would steal for me.
Well, maybe I'll steal some of your shit before you leave today. I'm just kidding.
I need this piece. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes it's better to look at the positives than the negatives.
Pretty much always is. Well, I'm glad that you're coming on the podcast. It's great to have a local artist on. I mean, thank you
so much for having me.
We haven't really, like, we say in our bio that we have artists on, but like we've had musicians, artists, but we haven't actually had artists on. So now we're not lying.
Oh no, I'm so happy to be a part of the podcast. So every show I have, I sell my tiles, which is kind of funny because for a whole year I was learning how to make resin art. And I had bought so many tiles and I was running out of room. And then my best friend moved in with me and she's like, Sam, you have so much art everywhere. She's like, it's a little overwhelming.
Will you pull this back closer?
Oh, now? Yeah. She was like, it's a little overwhelming. And then, my other friends would come over and they're like, Sam, you're like turning into an art hoarder. And I'm like, I swear I shouldn't be able to sell this stuff. But I just didn't have an outlet yet. Yeah.
So what's your friend group like? You known a lot of them for a long time?
Yeah, I have my friend group. I feel like we've all been friends for the past, like 4 years. They've been really good, solid, supportive friends that always try to like hold you accountable.
Are they artists as well, or they do different things?
They are artists. They just don't claim that as their thing. You know, like I really enjoyed living with my best friend because even though she doesn't say she's an artist, she would still make art with me.
Yeah.
You know, or come into my, I'd be like, hey, Shayna, come into my room. I want to show you something. So she'd come into my room and she'd be like, okay, no, I like that. And we worked on a painting together. It was a mosquito.
It was like, a mosquito?
Crying, and it was a peach emoji farting hearts.
A peach emoji farting hearts?
That might be on my Instagram.
It's a sweet rabbit.
Oh yeah, that's actually for sale. That's $700 and that's at Whiskey Tango hanging up.
I love that.
That's a good representation of my resin art. That's also, the bunny's made out of Yupo paper.
Sick.
It has alcohol ink and powder pigments. It took me like a whole month to make that.
Damn. 700?
Yes.
I like that piece.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a popular one, but it's still on the wall. There it is.
Oh, yeah. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. I think that that will be probably put on the wall very soon. I think I'm going to swap out a painting that I already have on the Whiskey Tango wall, and I think I'm going to put that one up there because I think it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. So is Whiskey Tango going to continue doing this? Like, let's say COVID ends.
Yes.
Full-blown bar
We
again.
are still going to be doing this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I do want to check this out. And so...
yeah, I have art shows every 3 weeks. And then also I'm having some more opportunities to kind of branch out and get on Rainy Street and on the east side of Austin. So
that's the hip side.
Yep.
So
live paintings and everything.
Nice. So I guess your strategy going forward is, just kind of like getting actually in front of people like in Austin at different locations and
yes.
Like, I mean, and then you're still even just like using Instagram as like message me if you want to buy this, which I think is fine. I think that's a great start. It's like you don't need to
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, like instead of like spending a bunch of money or wasting a bunch of time like building a website, like I think it does make more sense to just like get in front of people so they can see you.
Exactly.
See your art.
I think that's more personable. I mean, I do have a website. I think I took it down because I haven't been adding to it. And I stopped coding and I'm just like I'm just burnt out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I would love for somebody to work on my website and connect it to my artist website. But I think he could do that.
He being who?
Gino, the artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I need a better website. I just haven't. But yeah, I think I prefer talking to people in person.
I think people are more likely to buy too.
Yeah.
I feel like the website is like once you've established yourself as kind of like a name, then the website matters more. Like in Austin,
Of course, yeah.
But like while you're just really kind of getting out there, getting in front of people, and so people can actually see your stuff.
Yeah, it's more real.
Yeah.
People get to know you on a personal level.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
We're at around an hour. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I feel like this was a great interview.
I thought it was really fun. Yeah. I think your art's super cool, Samantha. I'm really glad that, we connected and that you came on, and now we've had an artist on, and I am going to buy some of those coasters from you.
Yay. Yeah, I would love to come back. Maybe bring my artist.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Would be like Gino, are you saying?
Yeah, Gino.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a whole personality.
I mean, he sounds like a very interesting dude doing gymnastics and teaching cheer. And then also doing all this art.
He's also on Netflix.
He's also on Netflix?
Yes,
what's he got on Netflix?
For his cheer.
For his cheer?
Yeah.
Is he super jacked?
I don't think he's super jacked.
Because like those guys that do gymnastics are super fit.
I feel like he's almost my height-ish or a little bit taller. But he's not super jacked.
Well, I guess they're not super jacked. They're just like
it's muscle memory.
Mesomorph? Muscle memory.
I can't talk right now.
The muscle memory, the moves and stuff.
Yeah, like he's just been doing it for so many years that. Yeah, I've never really looked at his arm muscles, so I can't say. I just look at his paintings and I'm like, I like that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, Samantha.
Yes, thank you so much. I had a great time.
Cool. And then we'll throw your Instagram up on the screen, but what is it again?
It is Wicked Goddess Shop with all of the S's.
Cool. All right.
Thank you,
Have a good show tonight, right?
Yes. Appreciate it.